welcome back to my channel. My name's Danielle and I'm the owner of Damn Fancy Creations and the Drunk Flamingo Glitter. In case you guys are new to my channel, I do want to let you know that you can catch my content in a few different places. I have a tutorial group and glitter group on Facebook, as well as my Damn Fancy Tribe. That is my exclusive membership group where I offer exclusive content, free digital files, discount codes, and fun group challenges each month. Those are going to be linked in the description in case you guys want to check them out. Today's tutorial is going to be pulled from some more nail art design. If you guys have followed me for a while, you should know that I love to pull inspiration from nail art. I love doing my own nails, so if I can kind of translate some nail art onto a tumbler, it's always super fun for me. So I'm going to be using a few new items in this tutorial. The first one is spider gel. I believe that Kelly Norris was the first one to use this on a tumbler. It's actually a type of stringy gel that's used for nails. So if I can use that for my nails and my tumblers, it's kind of a win-win. We're also going to be using Artistry's Color Fix paints. I love these paints. They are vibrant. They are really good for blending. If y'all have not tried them, I definitely suggest it. I also have a discount code in the description for y'all. We're also going to be using a fun hand-lettered SVG from my friend Trina over at Diamonds and Dust Glitter. She does amazing hand-lettered SVGs. If you guys have not checked her out, please do so. And this tumbler is kind of a retro sunset vibe. It's really fun. There's no glitter on it, but I absolutely love how it turned out. So if you guys are ready to see how I created this fun non-glittered sunset tumbler, let's get started. Alright guys, so as normal, we are going to start with a prepped tumbler. This is painted white. I like to use a flat Rust-Oleum. I personally like the flat paint better because it dries quicker. And then I'm just going to cut a strip of paper. And this is basically your own preference. However big you want your middle section or the sunset section to be, that is how large you're going to cut your little strip of paper. So I'm just going to wrap my piece of paper around the center of the cup. And I'm just going to line up these edges, make sure that it is straight. And then I'm just going to tape this paper to hold it in place. And I just eyeballed it. If you want your exposed top and bottom edges to be the exact same size, you can definitely measure, but if you guys watch my tutorials, y'all know I don't measure too often. And I'm just going to use my tumbler caddy mainly for filming reasons. If I was not filming this, I would probably just go set this up outside on my outdoor table and just splatter the paint that way. But so you guys can see how I do it, I am just setting it up here. I'm going to start with the Color Fix paint in black. And this was my first time using the Color Fix paints, and I was really impressed with them. I like them a lot. You do have to shake them up for probably about 60 seconds before you use it, just to make sure that the pigment and other liquids and materials are all kind of mixed together. And I am wearing a glove because I don't want to get this paint all over my hands. And when I do my paint splatters, I like to use a coarse or thick brush. You're not going to get a really good splatter if you use a softer brush. So I'm just squirting a little bit in my paint palette. And I'm just going to dip my brush in there. And I'm just going to show you guys how I'm going to splatter it. So I am just pulling back the bristles and letting them go, and it creates this cool little splatter pattern. So that's what we're going to do all the way around the bottom of this cup. And you guys can do as many or as little splatters as you want. And I'm just going to rotate the cup as I go. And I'm just dipping the brush back in the paint ever so often, just to add a little bit more paint to the bristles. And once we're done with the bottom, I'm going to let this dry, and then we're going to do the top part. But like I said, if I was not filming this, I would just set this up outside and do everything at one time. Another thing to point out is when you do the bottom half of your tumbler, make sure you get the very bottom of your tumbler so it's not just plain white. So now that the bottom half is dried, I just flipped it, and I'm going to do the same exact thing to the top part of my tumbler. And in case you guys have not figured out why I put the white sheet of paper in the center of the tumbler, that was just so no paint splatter would get on the center part of the cup. So now that the black paint has dried, I'm going to go and tape off my edges with painter's tape so that we get a nice crisp sunset line. And whenever I use painter's tape for my cup, if I'm not necessarily needing it to stay very long, I do kind of remove the tack. So I'll just kind of blot it on my skin or my shirt or something, just so it's not going to be super sticky, because I don't need this to stay on for a really long time. And I don't want it to pull up any of the black paint that I applied previously. So I'm just taking strips of painter's tape, removing the tack, and then just applying it to the cup so that we get a nice crisp line for our sunset. And I went ahead and picked out colors that I thought would be good for the sunset. So we're going to use navy, raindrops, mint, white, blush, and violet. My little painter's palette was a little dirty, obviously, so I decided just to squirt just a little bit of each paint color into these little medicine cups. And any that I had left over, I did just kind of scrape back into the bottles when I was done with them. That is one thing I love about these Colorfix paints, is that they come with the little twist squeeze top already, which is awesome. And I am probably squirting like 2 or 3 mils of each color in here, and I did not even use all of that. And I am just going to use these makeup brushes. I like to use these because they're soft and fluffy, so when I want to blend colors, these work really well. So I'm just going to start with my white, because I know that this is going to be pretty much the center of my sunset color. So I'm just kind of swiping that on, and then I'm going in with the lighter color, which is blush. And this first layer is really to kind of just lay out my colors where I want them. And then I'm going in with the purple, which is going to be the very bottom of my sunset color. So after I get my colors kind of on there, I'm just wiping off my brush. I did not even use water for this. I did not have a large container upstairs with me, so I just kind of blotted it off on some paper towels and just continued to go in and blend these colors. And for me personally, I didn't want something that was super blended together. You know, sometimes when you look at a sunset, it's kind of different layers. It's not necessarily a perfect gradient from color to color. You may have some clouds mixed in there that reflect different colors. So that was kind of the look that I was going for. So it's not a perfect blend, but you get all of the different colors that a beach sunset would have. And I kind of stuck with one brush for the pinky purple colors and one brush for the blue colors. And just kept going back and blending and adding colors until I was happy with the results. And again, I'm just wiping off this brush when I think my brush gets a little too saturated with paint. And I really liked these paints because I could keep adding color and it took to the cup fine. I didn't have any paint that was lifting or anything like that. I thought they went on really smooth. So I'm just adding some more white right now, going back to the center just to brighten up the middle a little bit. And this is sped up a little bit. I was not actually working this quickly. So basically now I'm just going back and kind of touching up some of these colors and just defining them a little bit. Now that I have kind of a decent amount of layers on there, I guess. And I'm going to go back and brighten up some of that purple and pink and white. So now I'm just going back in to the center with just a little bit of white just to brighten up the center part of our sunset. So I was pretty happy with this. So once that paint is dry, we're going to go in with the spider gel. If you guys have not tried this, this is how I get that little line effect on my nails that I have on now. And it's basically just a stringy gel polish. It does need to be cured with a UV light, so make sure you have one of those handy. And I just use a really tiny, like, dotting tool, basically. So I typically just leave these little foils on top, but I just am going to take this off really quick so I have easier access to it. And I am basically just going to take the spider gel and just make lines, little web-like lines around the bottom half of this sunset, or where the bottom sunset and the splattered section meet. And you're basically just going to do this over and over until you get the look that you want. You can add several little lines. You can do thicker lines if you want to do that. And I'm just going forwards and backwards. And then we're going to do the top part. This was a little more difficult because I was trying to reach across my entire tumbler. If I had a single cup turner, it would probably be a little bit easier. But all of my turners are in my garage and it's kind of dark out there, so I wanted to be sure that you guys could see what I was doing. And since this spider gel is so thin, you can do your whole cup and then you can cure everything afterwards. It's not something that's going to drip off of your cup, but it is sticky, so you have to be careful not to touch it. And there's the train. All right, so once I have all of my gel on there, I'm just going to hold my light over my cup for a few minutes. It was a cloudy day, so I did not have the luxury of just popping this out in the sun today. So I did kind of rotate it. I did hold it for longer than this video shows, but I just set my cup up and then kind of leaned my light on top of it, not to where it was touching the gel, but just kind of touching the cup, and rotated it for a few minutes until the gel polish was completely dry. And once the gel polish is dry, I'm going to put this on my turner for the first layer of epoxy. So now this tumbler has one coat of Artistry Epoxy's 1-to-1 Fast Set. If you guys have not tried their Fast Set, I definitely suggest it. It has great coverage and super smooth even after just one coat. After about 2.5 hours, this epoxy is ready to be sanded and decaled. I went ahead and sanded the top rim with my sanding block just so that stainless rim is exposed and we get a really good seal with the final coats of epoxy. So I printed out some palm leaves and this awesome decal from Diamonds and Dust. That is my friend Trina. I definitely suggest y'all checking out her shop. These palm leaves I got on Creative Fabrica. I will drop the link in the description below in case you guys want these. And I just printed out different sizes. I think most of these are around 2 to 2.5 inches. But again, if your center section is smaller or larger than how I made mine, you may need to adjust the sizes of your decals. And I am just applying them all to the cup first, and next we're going to go back and trim off all of that excess with my blade. And if you guys are wondering, the transfer tape I use is also listed in the description. I get a huge roll off of Amazon. So I'm just kind of sporadically placing these little leaves. So now that we have these leaves on here, I'm going to go get my blade and we're going to trim off the excess. So basically, I am just going to follow that sunset line. And I'm just going to score the vinyl. And I'm going to take my little tweezers and we're just going to peel this vinyl up so that the leaves are kind of inside that framed section or the sunset section. And I do feel like I wasted a lot of this vinyl, but if I cut it, I didn't know if it would be exactly lined up how I wanted it to be. So you guys can kind of experiment on your own to see if cutting the leaves before you apply them works better for you. And after we get this last little leaf off, we will be ready to apply our decal. I picked a kind of metallic purple for my offset. I thought that that went well with the bottom sunset color I chose. So this decal would help kind of bring out that purple. And then my main text is just white. Both of these colors I got from my local vinyl supplier. I do link them in my tutorials, but they don't have colors when I actually go into the shop. It's just whatever they have. So listing colors is sometimes hard for me. Like this purple, I don't even know what they would call it. Maybe a metallic holographic purple. I'm not sure. And I basically just kind of line up my decals as best I can. I don't use Windex or water or anything like that. But if you guys feel more comfortable using something to help you match it up, then by all means use that. And this metallic purple was a little bit thinner than the typical metallic vinyl that I have, so I did cut this a little bit too deep. So it was a pain to get off the backing. I tried to peel some of the paper off as I went along, but some of it still stuck, which isn't really a big deal. I just used my tweezers and peeled off any paper that was still stuck on there. And then I'm basically just going to find a spot on my tumbler where I want my decal. So I'm just putting this in between two of these little palm leaves, and I'm just kind of centering it between the little sunset section, and I'm just smoothing it down. I typically start in the center and then move to the left, smooth everything down, and then move back to the right and smooth the other side down. And then I just carefully peel it off, and we are ready for the final layer of epoxy. For this particular tumbler, I did not seal the vinyl. I typically don't unless it's textured vinyl. So I just put this back on my turner for another 2 layers of Artistry's Fast Set, and that was it. Here are some finished pictures of how the tumbler turned out. I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial. I had fun making this tumbler. It was something a little bit different than I typically do, but I had fun and I learned a lot, and I got to use some new products. So if you guys decide to try something like this, please be sure to post it in my tutorial group because I love to see what you guys come up with. If y'all enjoyed this tutorial or learned something new, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to catch the next video coming up that was picked just for you. As always, if you're looking for more tips, tricks, or tutorials, be sure to check out my tutorial group on Facebook or our Damn Fancy Tribe. Both are linked in the description. Thanks for watching.